island. You know, it's the closest expansion he can really get his hands on, and safely at least. See how it loads it up with SCV so he can already get started on that. He's going to drop one on the island. Probably going to be putting up a missile turret or something on that island. Yeah, that's exactly what he does.
SjoW expanding up to the top left. I'm actually quite surprised. I'm sure SjoW saw that BratOK was building another command center. He didn't end up anticipating BratOK going to the bottom right island. He could have put a little bit of a spanner in the works there. Having so many Vikings out already, he could have possibly prevented that expansion from going up while expanding himself and giving him a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. You know, you always want to try and put a halt on your opponent's expanding. And in this game, it almost feels like these players are just letting each other expand. Look at this massive fight that's going on there. It's just stimming and it'll try to snipe out those tanks. First thing, those tanks just chew up Marines. As you can see, SjoW did have a Marine Marauder combo, but it now looks like SjoW just had a Marauder combo, judging by what's left of his forces. But he is going to be taking out all of BratOK's SCVs and gaining quite a significant advantage early on here. You know, while watching this game live, I just thought to myself, nah, this is the point where SjoW has done significant damage to be able to push on and use this momentum and win the game. But looks like BratOK managed to scrape out of that fight. I don't know how he did with what little forces he actually had. And I think it was position alone that really saved him.
Well, it's good use of these Vikings there to drop next to the tanks and give them trouble. SjoW upgrading to a planetary fortress instead of an orbital command at his furthermost expansion. And dropping another expansion closer by the rich mineral fields.
You know, that planetary fortress upgrade with the turret right next to it, I see quite often, and it really helps out against any kind of incoming harass. You know, that missile turret's going to deal with any kind of bedvac that comes in, and the planetary fortress, of course, just going to nuke down any Marines and Marauders that might come the way of the planetary fortress, while the SCVs just throw down a repair on it. So very handy that. Looks like SjoW tried to do another drop on BratOK's ledge over there with full Marauders, but it got taken out with a missile turret while that missile turret dealt with that particular attack. So he's going to look for an alternative point of entry with this medvac. That's what he does with that.
SjoW seeming to have an advantage at the moment, having an extra expansion going up and having a larger army. Still not quite sure if he. No, it does seems that he is planning on doing a drop at the back of BratOK's bottom right expansion. Wasn't quite sure if he was aware of it, but it seems that this should be quite an effective drop.
Yeah, let's see him do that. Yeah, he is going to take out quite a few SCVs this way. You know, those Vikings cannot land and try to deal with that. The Vikings are going to have to settle for the quick win on the medvac. Not do much time because of course Marauders just chew up Vikings once they land. Looks like we got a drop coming from BratOK as well. It's just a planetary fortress versus siege tank at the 12 block over here. Doing quite well with that particular position.
I would have actually liked to see SjoW push while doing a drop at the bottom right expansion, forcing BratOK to kind of make a decision. BratOK just dropping in units and dealing with it. SjoW seems to be having problems himself with this this drop, but probably not for much longer.
Looks like he's doing just fine now, man. Looks like BratOK's going to do a drop in the back of SjoW's main here, and he is going to supply cap him as well. He's taken out a sufficient amount of supply depots to stop any supply coming out of SjoW. He's going to look to take out that tank. Oh, but those SCVs do prohibit any kind of movement, and he's going to scoot out of there with that medvac. It's a good play that, you know, this little drop action is going to go on for a long time because they're in a lot of these problems. And it looks like SjoW's going to have to face some heavy supply depot attacks in just a moment to try and bring his crew count back up. Look at that, 155 for just now. Oh, for 108 now, that is crazy. such an effective drop that, you know, just sneak in the back of your opponent's base, and you're going to end up costing, it's going to end up costing SjoW a lot of minerals. But it looks like he's got quite a few to spare. Look at that, 2,000 minerals for SjoW right about now.
SjoW doing a drop himself. Hasn't sieged his tank yet, surprisingly.
Yeah, I would say you should have seen it a bit earlier. Maybe could have dealt with those more and not delaying him, and they would have been able to deal a little more effectively. But maybe his attention was diverted also. I mean, we've got BratOK trying to do drops in his main as well, so I think the person who wins this game is going to be the one who can multitask the best. You know, that's going to really pull it through at the end of the day.
We're going for another drop by SjoW's main. Well, main expansion rather.
2 tanks this time. Siege those up now. Now look at this position that he puts these 2 siege tanks in. Both tanks can reach 1 expansion, you know, and their bottom tank can of course reach the gold mineral expansion, snipe out of here and use it. And this other one has got like almost full range and half the mineral line of this expansion, so very effective there. You're looking at taking that planetary fortress now, but it's got so much HP. Look at that, 1,500. That is just nuts. Now if we take a look at an orbital command and compare the difference in HP, it's exactly the same. Exactly the same. It just feels like it's different, you know. Those planetary fortresses, they just look way more beefcake. Way more beefcake.
It's be interesting to see how this battle appears.
Look at that tank placement just outside the range of those mortars, so effective there. He's going to have to land some stuff down to take care of it. Ooh, those Marines just going to be able to hold up that particular attack, right? Mikey can come up and seal the kill, but looks like we've got BratOK moving in on the naked tanks with SjoW by the Zolnak Battalion. He's managed to regain a bit of position here. So even if BratOK did lose that fight up top and lost that little assault going on, what he's going to be able to do now is expand by these rich gold minerals. And so some good play by BratOK, you know, just distracting SjoW for a second, you know. He saw that his tanks were unprotected there by the Zolnak Battalion, so he's just going to go ahead and take them out and then take this rich mineral expansion.
I think it's like you said, you know, at this level, players have to put a lot of pressure on each other for them to make mistakes. You can't just let your opponent sit around, so otherwise they're going to play optimally. And that's exactly what BratOK's doing in this game. Turning around what was an advantage to SjoW earlier on, and now being either on par or better off than SjoW. I think one of SjoW's main flaws in this game was not really protecting that ledge between his 2 expansions. BratOK showing a lot of interest in it earlier on, and you know, I would have liked to see maybe just drop in a few missile turrets on the ledges just to kind of slow the drops.
I hear you on that one. I think that would have been the way forward. And oh, look at this. Now those Vikings just getting a little ahead of themselves, being taken by a few Marines. But quite a Mexican standoff going on here. This is quite a definitive point in the game, this one. And the position means everything here. Of course, we've got SjoW who's now split his forces here. He's got Vikings at the bottom, he's got his forces at the top, and now he's uploading more at the top. And BratOK just moving up there. So this is going to be an interesting turn of events. Oh, look at that medvac going down full of Marines. SjoW making a big loss there. That was not so great, but of course he does have all the minerals in the world to put more Marines out of that. BratOK really winning that particular fight. You know, that's how much that height difference makes in this game. You know, just a bit aside. But here we go, SjoW making a push at the center of the map. And he's managed to take out BratOK's forces above the Zolnak, so he's regained position in the center of the map there, but he's a bit isolated. His Marauders a bit isolated here, and they're kind of all in at the moment. They've got to do as much damage as they can before they die, because they know they're screwed. And BratOK's forces make their way to the center of the map. but they have taken a bit of a beating from SjoW's forces. So it's going to be a tight one. Oh, he does not snipe the tank out, so the tank doing a lot of damage. Is BratOK going to siege up these tanks? No, he's not. He's going to keep them mobile and working it. And very cool play. It finally brings in the Vikings to save the day. So good play there by BratOK. Now at this little point in break of play, I just want to draw your attention to the sensor tower that's up now, and just notice what good position this is. You know, you spoke of earlier about how SjoW is not defending his the ledge between his two expansions by the Ridge Mineral and the 12 Club. Well, he's put up the sensor tower just so you can see any incoming drops. And look at the one little area that the sensor tower doesn't cover at the top of the map. He's put a little missile turret there. Perfect play there. That is awesome. You know, it just covers all his bases and really yeah, does well to guard against any further drops from BratOK. Very cool that. But it looks like BratOK's got a significant army advantage here. If we look at him, 184 food and 100 for SjoW right now. So SjoW is a bit behind. But of course it's such a big map and you can't really push against Terran that easily. Siege tanks getting away, all kinds of garbage. And then, so at this stage of the game, I would actually reckon these players might have to get a couple upgrades and put a bit more armor up on their fireballs of doom, so they can just hold out against these tanks a little bit. Now, I don't know if you noticed, Michael, but upgrades in StarCraft 2 come very late in the game. You know, players very hesitant to get upgrades early on. They do cost quite a lot, I suppose. 275 minerals, 275 gas, eventually very pricey. Did we see upgrades in Warcraft 2 much?
Yeah, there were a few circumstances where it happened. Often when games were close and players were sitting at 50 food to not break through the upkeep barrier, you would find players using the extra gold to rather increase unit upgrades instead of going into low upkeep. And I think in StarCraft it makes sense to upgrade later on, you know, because every upgrade then has, you know, the added benefit of the unit. So the more units you have, obviously the more useful the upgrade. You know, early on, you know, that a big battle going down, yeah, BratOK's army much larger than it shows. The SjoW going down. He must do this expansion here. He has an army that's busy mobilizing at the upper left quadrant of the map. Not going to try defend the expansion, rather going to try counter attack. But at this stage, I think that you know, BratOK just has such a large advantage in numbers that SjoW have to play very cleverly to pull out any advantage.
Yeah, you know, if BratOK can stay ahead in macro, you can really take this game quite effectively. And as you can see, SjoW not left with any medvacs in the center of the map, and those Vikings do quite happy with it. And now he's pushing this expansion of SjoW at 12 o'clock, and that is the expansion that is keeping SjoW in the game. I mean, if we look at the Ridge Mineral expansion of SjoW, he's got just 2 patches left with almost nothing left in it. So that's not going too well for us. There's that 12 o'clock, there's a 12 o'clock expansion going out now, so that was the last form of income SjoW has, so he's got to push with everything he's got now. Might as well pull the SCDs off the middle line and just push them into BratOK's base, because BratOK has got this game now after he got that top expansion. Cunning play, you know, putting the tanks down on the bottom ledge and pushing forward with the Marines and the orders.
Yeah, I think BratOK definitely has this. SjoW, I think, possibly could have expanded to the top left island rule earlier, considering he had quite good map control of each half. You know, trying to use that extra expansion to leverage advantage while keeping the expansion that BratOK's just set up the bottom left from going up might have been enough to change the pace of this game. But for a long time now, SjoW's been fighting a bit of an uphill battle and unable to pull something out of the bag.
Yeah, I really think SjoW should have expanded to the island, as BratOK did early on. BratOK, I think, just sealed the deal by expanding to that early island. Good one, and there's the GG, well played from SjoW now, and that's the end of game number 2.